If you don't automate your finances, you are bleeding interest, fees, and time every single month. Ramit Sethi promises his I will teach you to be rich system stops the leak, but most users fail to ever set it up correctly. We are pulling back the curtain on the actual math behind his automation strategy, dissecting the three core pillars, and exposing the single overlooked component that separates successful students from those who just waste their money. Third method is the one thing most people completely ignore, yet it is the secret to making this entire system work over the long term. So grab a drink, settle in, and let us get down to it. When Ramit Sethi published the first edition of his book in 2009, he was essentially shouting into a void filled with people telling you to stop buying lattes and start clipping coupons. He took the opposite approach. He told you to spend extravagantly on the things you love, as long as you cut costs mercilessly on the things you do not. It felt rebellious. It felt fresh. But does that philosophy actually hold up when you look at the cold, hard numbers of a modern personal finance landscape? Let us start with the first pillar of his system, which is arguably the most actionable part of his entire methodology. This is the concept of the conscious spending plan, and honestly, it is the easy win that builds your confidence immediately. Most people approach budgeting by looking at the past. They track expenses and feel guilty about what they already spent. SETI flips this on its head. He asks you to define your rich life first. Imagine you are sitting at your desk on a Tuesday morning. You are looking at a blank spreadsheet. Instead of asking how to save $50 this week, you ask what you want to be able to afford 5 years from now. Maybe it is travel, maybe it is a house, or maybe it is just the freedom to buy lunch without checking your bank balance. Once you define that vision, the math becomes a tool instead of a punishment. There is a clear data point here. Studies from the National Endowment for Financial Education indicate that individuals who set specific, value based goals are 60% more likely to achieve them compared to those who just try to save generally. This is not just fluff, it is behavioral psychology. You are building a system based on your own internal desires rather than societal expectations. If you enjoy fine dining, you are not failing by spending there. You are winning, provided you have built the rest of your system to support it. It shifts the mindset from scarcity to agency. That is how you start. You define your categories, you align them with your values, and you stop the self flagellation over $5 coffees. If you are finding this breakdown helpful, hit subscribe. I drop deep dives on personal finance systems like this every week, and sticking around ensures you do not miss the next part of this series. Now let us move to the level up. This is where things get interesting, and frankly, where most people fall off the wagon. We are talking about the automation system. SETI argues that the biggest enemy of your wealth is your own willpower. If you rely on yourself to manually move money into savings every month, you are going to fail eventually. Life gets busy. You get stressed. You forget. His system requires you to build a quote, money dial that automates everything from your bill payments to your investment contributions. Think about the logistics. You have your paycheck landing in your checking account. From there, the system should trigger a cascade. A percentage goes to your high yield savings. Another chunk hits your brokerage account. A portion stays for your monthly expenses. It is a waterfall of capital. A study conducted by researchers at the University of California at Los Angeles showed that individuals who use automated saving mechanisms are 2.3 times more likely to reach their retirement goals than those who rely on manual saving. It is not just about convenience, it is about eliminating the cognitive load. When the decision is already made by a computer, you cannot cheat yourself. You cannot decide that this month you would rather buy a new gadget instead of funding your Roth IRA, because the money is already gone before you even see it. It forces discipline through technology. This is the step that separates the dreamers from the builders. Most people spend hours stressing about which stock to pick or which credit card has the best rewards points, but they miss the fact that their primary failure point is simply a lack of consistency. Automation solves for consistency perfectly. But we need to address the third point, the one I have been saving for you. This is the part that most reviewers gloss over, and it is honestly the most powerful part of the Ramit Sethi system. It is the philosophy of, quote, the big wins. Most financial advice is obsessed with the micro. Saving $1 here, saving $2 there. Sethi argues that your time is worth more than that. He challenges you to focus on the 4 big wins that generate the most wealth over a lifetime. Those wins are negotiating your salary, choosing the right investments, optimizing your credit cards, and buying a house, but only if the numbers make sense. Think about the math. If you spend 10 hours a year clipping coupons to save $200, you are earning $20 an hour for a task that feels like drudgery. But what if you spent those same 10 hours preparing for a salary negotiation? You might get a $10,000 raise. That is $1,000 an hour. This is not just a theoretical concept. My friend Marcus applied this exact logic to his career. He stopped obsessing over the price of his groceries and instead spent 3 weeks researching salary data for his role as a software architect. He went into his review, presented his value, and negotiated a $14,000 bump. $14,000. That one conversation dwarfed any amount of money he could have saved by skipping his morning coffee for a decade. That is the power of the big wins. When you stop focusing on the small, petty savings and start attacking the big levers of wealth, you change your entire trajectory. It is a radical shift in perspective. You stop being a penny pincher and start being a strategist. Once you see your financial life through the lens of big wins, you cannot unsee it. So, does the system work? Yes. It works because it addresses the human element, our psychology, our tendencies to procrastinate, and our desire to live a good life today while planning for tomorrow. It is not just about the math, it is about the system design. You start with the goal. You build the automation to protect that goal from your own human nature, and then you swing for the fences on the big, high impact career and investment moves. That is a bulletproof approach. Most people will ignore this advice because it requires you to be honest with yourself about your own laziness. It requires you to admit that you are not as disciplined as you think you are, and that you need a machine to keep you on track. It takes a level of maturity that most people are not ready for. But for those who are, the results are undeniable. You get the freedom to spend on what you love, you get the peace of mind of automation, and you get the massive growth potential of the big wins. If you got value from this, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes, all someone needs is a shift in perspective to change their entire financial future. Subscribe so you do not miss the next deep dive and leave a comment below. What is one, quote, big win you have been putting off negotiating? I read every single one, and I will see you in the next one. Keep building that life.